In this video tutorial, I'm going to take you through how to navigate and use the Shot Scope H4 Handheld. Now we're going to look at some of the key settings that you'll need to know about before you start your round. Then what we'll do is we'll initiate a round on this device, and I'll show you then some of the settings you'll get access to out on the golf course, as well as the useful features found on this device. If you are not a Shot Scope user but you're interested in getting 15% off of Shot Scope products, I've put my exclusive 15% discount code in the description below, as well as my affiliate links. Please feel free to use that. And if you have any questions about anything covered in this video or any other Shot Scope products, just drop them in the comments box below and I'll be happy to get back to you with an answer. And whilst you're there, please do feel free to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. I've got plenty of other Shot Scope videos available. Now, first of all, let's get started with how to navigate the Shot Scope H4 Handheld. So you'll see on the side here we have two buttons, and on the other side here we have another two. So it's not a touchscreen device. We basically use these buttons to navigate. Now at the moment the device is turned off, so let's turn it on. The way that we turn the H4 Handheld on is to press the top left button. Once we turn it on, it will bring us to this screen here. Now the device will have a lock on when you're not using it in golf mode, and it will also have a lock on it when you do use it in golf mode. The lock can be disabled for golf mode but not for general mode like this. So before we're in golf mode, it will always self-lock after a certain amount of time. To unlock this device, all we do is press the bottom left button, and we can now work through the menu. So you'll see on screen here we have icons in each of the corners. To turn the device off, all you need to do is, once you've unlocked it, press the top left button and then press the top right button to confirm, and that will shut the H4 Handheld down. Now, as I mentioned a minute ago, to boot it back up, just press the top left button and it will load. And as you can see, it loads very, very quickly. Now let's unlock it just now. And if we want to cycle through the menu, we can just use the bottom left or right buttons to go back or forward. So let's start looking at some of the key settings that you'll want to make sure you have correctly set up before you initiate your round. These will become your default settings for this device. So let's go into the settings menu by pressing the confirm button. And you'll see the first one is for Bluetooth. Now if we go into this one, this just lets you know if you have a Bluetooth connection. So if you are connected to the mobile app via Bluetooth, this will basically show you that you are connected, but it's one that you don't really need to worry about. Now if we use the right arrow to go to next option, you'll see we have the button lock, and this is how we can turn off the button lock for golf mode. Now if we press the confirm button at the top right, we can either enable the button lock or we can disable it. Now I'm going to disable this one and just confirm. Now it's not going to disable it from that home screen that we saw earlier. That will always have the button lock on it. But when we use it in golf mode, it's not going to automatically lock, which means every time we want to interact with the device, we don't have to unlock it, which will work well for this tutorial once we initiate our round. The next thing I want to show you is the time option. So if we go along here, so I'm going to go back out of the button lock menu, and we're going to go along and we're going to look for time. Now you'll see here we are at 1640, so that is 24-hour time. If I choose the confirm button, we can switch between 24 hours and 12 hours. So if we want to go into 12-hour time, all we do is press confirm, and you'll see it updates just at the top there. So it's now 440 rather than 1640. Let's jump back to 24 hours and confirm once again. So we'll put it back into this time. Now with this device and other Shot Scope devices, if it happens to go out of time, let's say for example the clocks change, the device won't automatically update. The minute you connect it to the Shot Scope app via a Bluetooth connection, that time is going to update. So the time option here only really allows you to go between 12 or 24 hours, which you can also set up in the app. Let's go back though, and we're going to go into the other menu option here for firmware. So if we go into firmware and press confirm, this will show you what version of firmware you are running. So if you want to make sure you're on the latest version, you can check this against the Shot Scope website, or the easiest thing to do is actually just connect this device to your mobile app using your mobile phone or tablet, and once you're in the Shot Scope app, it will tell you if a firmware update is needed. So you don't need to update on the device, you update through the app, but your device will need to be connected via Bluetooth but it will tell you if a firmware update is pending. If you want to though, you can check your firmware number here against the Shot Scope website. Another useful thing to know about is the Show Club option. Now if we confirm here to go into this menu, you'll see we get Enable and Disable. Now what this basically does is it will show the club tag ID on screen during your round if you choose to enable this. So I'm going to enable it, and you'll see here I've got one of the Shot Scope tags. We'll be using this later, but essentially once this tag touches the screen, or touches close to the screen, when we're playing our round, that will basically show the club tag ID on screen. So it's a little bit of visual feedback to let you know if you have properly tagged the club. If you disable this, then what will happen is it will not show that club ID. If you notice when you're playing you can't see the club ID on screen, then the chances are you've disabled this Show Club option. So you'll want to make sure next time you play that you enable it. Let's jump back out and let's look at another option here called Tags. Now this is a really useful one to know about if you want to check if your Shot Scope tags are working correctly. If we go into Tags and confirm, you'll see it comes up and says Finding Tags. Now all we need to do with this Shot Scope tag is hover it close to the device, it will vibrate and it will show me there that it has found the tag. So if I go to here, hopefully you can see this, found 7 iron. You can hear it vibrating, so it will let you know if that tag is working. So if you've got any concerns that some of your tags may not be working, go into the settings menu, choose tags, take your tag, hover it over, it will vibrate and it will show you the club tag ID underneath and you'll know that that tag is working okay. Now, two more settings that I want to show you before we go into golf mode. Let's go across here and we're going to go to units. Now units is your units of measurement for distance. If we go in using the confirm button, you'll see we can get either yards or meters. So depending on what your preference is or where you play, if you want to, you can change it to yards or meters here. All you do, select the measurement and confirm. And now when we open up our round, we'll be in yards. Now the final setting I want to show you before we initiate a round is putting. If we go into putting, you'll see here we have manual or auto. Now the difference between these two on the H4 handheld, manual putting is useful if you have a counterbalanced putter where you maybe can't screw the putter tag into the end of the grip, or if you don't have a putter tag. This will mean that you can basically use the device to log your putts as and when you make them. Whereas if we move it into auto, which is the default setting, you can use your tag to touch it against the screen. So for most users, auto will be the one you'll want to go with. But if you have a counterbalanced putter and you're not able to get the tag into the end of the putter, or if you would like to just for some reason manually tag, then you can use the device to do that using the manual setting. But I'm going to just put it into auto and then confirm. Okay, so now that we have looked at some of the key settings that we want to set up before we start our round, let's initiate a round on the H4 handheld. So to do this, all we do is go to the play menu and then press the tick at the top right to confirm. Now you'll notice we get GPS and track. We can go to GPS only or track only. So GPS and track allows you to view GPS information and track your performance using the tags. GPS only gives you the GPS distances, and track only allows you to use this device as a tracking device. Personally, I pretty much always use it as GPS and track. Even if I don't want to track, it doesn't matter, but it gives me the option to track should I wish to. So we're going to go for a GPS and track, and we're going to confirm, and then it's going to try and obtain a GPS signal. Now I'm doing this from the house just now, so hopefully it won't take too long, but it's going to try and obtain a reception and connect to the golf club, which is quite close to our house. At the golf course, it should be able to obtain a connection in around about 30 seconds. Now, once a GPS connection has been obtained, you'll see here if your golf club has multiple courses, you can use the bottom arrows to cycle through them. So I've got a small club and we've got the main club here. So this is the main 18-hole course. And if I want to connect to this course, all I do is press the tick. So now that we have obtained a connection to the golf course, let's look at some of the options that we can see on screen. First of all, at the top, we can see the time and the battery level. At the top right, we can use this button to access the hazard menu. The bottom right button allows us to go to the next hole. The bottom left button allows us to go to the previous hole. In the centre bottom of the screen, we can see the hole number with the hash and the par for that hole. And the top left button allows us to go into the menu. In the centre of the screen here, we can see the GPS information for the hole we are playing. And the 3 dots here is your club ID. So because we turned on the Show Club ID, when we tap a tag onto the device, it will show us that tag as confirmation that that tag has been used. The large number displayed here is your centre of the green value in white, so that's to the middle of the green. And then the bottom left underneath that is your distance to the front of the green, and on the right hand side is your distance to the back of the green. Now let's go to the next hole. So to go to the next hole, all we do is press this button here, bottom right, and it will take us to the next hole. And to go back to previous hole, we can use the back button. Now the way that the Shot Scope H4 works is when you're on the putting green, it will change to a different screen called the pin collect screen. And you, when you're standing over the hole and having finished putting out, can select how many putts you made. Once you select the number of putts, the device will automatically move you to the next hole. And it will also automatically move you to the next hole if you didn't enter the number of putts, but you have arrived at the next teeing area. So you can use these buttons to manually move through if the device doesn't take you there automatically. But in most cases, it will do, especially after you've entered the number of putts. Now let's press the top right button here and we'll take a closer look at the hazard menu. So you'll see here, this lets us see any hazard options or layup points on this hole. So this indicates that there is a bunker on the left hand side of the fairway, which is 359 yards to reach the front of and 361 to reach the back of. Now obviously that bunker is not just going to be 3 yards in terms of its length, but because I'm connecting to the GPS from the house, these distances are slightly out, but that is your front to reach the bunker, and that's your number to reach the back of the bunker. Now if this bunker was on the right hand side, that would be a bunker on the right hand side of the fairway as opposed to the left hand side. If we use this up arrow, we can move up and we can see any other bunkers or water hazards on this hole. So you'll notice here I've got 2 more bunkers on the right hand side. If it's a water hazard, it will be displayed with a blue water icon. And then if we go up, you'll also notice we get layup markers. So what the layup markers do is they let you know how many yards you'd have to hit here to leave yourself 150 or to leave yourself 100 yards. So they usually display 100, 150 and 200 yards. So if you want to know how many yards to hit to leave yourself that specific distance to the centre of the green, that's your layup value there. And then to come out of the hazard menu, you just press the top left button. Next, let's take a look at the menu at the top left. So if we go into here, you'll see the first option is your last shot. So this basically shows you how far you have hit your last shot in either yards or meters, depending on which one you have selected. Now if I just quickly go back, and I'm going to tap my tag again onto the screen, it will register as my 7-iron. I would then hit my shot from this location, I would then walk to where the ball lands, and if I press the top left button, it would tell me how many yards between where I hit my shot and where it has come to rest. So it basically tells you how far you've hit your last shot. This will then clear when you use your next tag and give you a new value when you get to the new position of your next shot. But it doesn't log this anywhere, so you're not able to go back and look at this information. Obviously it will track it as part of the tracking, but this feature here, last shot, is generally just used on the golf course to give you an idea of how far you've hit your last shot. Let's say, for example, you want to know how far you hit your drive on a specific hole. But you can dig into your actual data that is captured by the Shot Scope device when you edit your round later on. Let's look at some of the other options found in this menu then. So if we use the bottom right button to go to the next menu item, we have penalties. Now the penalties menu, if we go into here, allows you to choose whether you're going to add a provisional penalty, drop ball, lost ball, or input a specific penalty value, or pick up your ball if you are not finishing the hole. Now you'll see here, I'm not going to go through and describe each of these individual penalty methods, but basically you can select the one that suits, and then all you do is you basically press confirm, and it will record that penalty. Now personally, I prefer to add my penalties when I edit my round, but you can do it on the device if you would like to. If you want to learn how to add your penalties during the editing process, then I cover that in my editing tutorial, which I'll link to in the card above and in the description below. Let's go back into the menu here then, and we'll cycle along to the next option, which is pin collect. So I mentioned earlier, this will automatically appear on screen when you reach the green, and it will tell you to enter how many putts you have taken. If you get to the next hole and you forget to do this, what you can do is you can go back to the previous hole using the back button. Let's say we're on the second hole but we forgot to enter this for the first hole. We can then go back into the menu and choose pin collect, and then we can enter how many putts we have taken. So you'll see here we get 0 up to 4. Then all we do is press a tick and it will log that as 4 putts. So when we're editing a round, we should be able to see the number of putts. The biggest benefit of using the pin collect option when it appears on screen on the green is that you can track the location of the pin. So if you enter the number of putts when you're standing over the hole, it will log that as the hole location, whereas using the method I've just shown you there will just update the number of putts for the hole that you previously played or you edited, but will not log that as the location of the pin. So when we have finished our round, when we play our final shot and putt out on the green, once we enter the number of putts for that hole, the device will automatically ask us if we want to finish our round. We can then choose yes or no at that point. However, if you want to end your round prematurely, so let's say we are on the 4th hole and we decide to call it a day, we can press the top left button and then we can go to the left to end round. From here it will tell you the minutes, seconds and hours for your round so far, and then if you want to continue you can press the right button and just go back into the menu. But if you want to confirm that you want to finish your round, you can press the confirm button at the top right, and then it will end that round and take you back to this screen here. Now when you have finished your round and you want to transfer your round from the device to your Shot Scope account, all you need to do is connect the H4 to the Shot Scope app using your mobile device and Bluetooth, and then just simply sync your round when prompted. One thing you might want to do though, is you might want to see if you have any rounds stored on your device that you haven't yet moved across. And the easiest way to do that is to go into the menu and then use the left button and go to history. From here you can press confirm and it will show you any rounds that you have played but haven't yet uploaded to your Shot Scope account. Now let's say for this round today we don't want to keep that one. We can press the top right button to go into the trash can and we can delete this round from our device. And therefore when we go to sync, it will not pull that round through. I can do it again for this one. So then when we sync later on, we're only going to sync across 2 rounds instead of 4. So that was a short video tutorial explaining how to navigate and use the Shot Scope H4 Handheld, and a closer look at some of the most important settings and features that you need to be aware of as an H4 handheld user. If I've missed anything or if you have any questions, please do drop your comments or questions in the comments area below. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you fancy showing your support. And remember, in the description there is that exclusive 15% discount code that might come in handy if you're interested in any other Shot Scope products. Now, as mentioned earlier in the video, I have a huge amount of Shot Scope tutorials for various different devices, but if you're interested in learning how to edit your rounds using the Shot Scope devices, then check out these videos here.